Hi, this is my uh, this is my October book haul. No, it isn't. It's not a book haul. It's all the books that I've read in October. Right? Just blame my age. It's ugh. We are now in second lockdown in the UK, and I'm hoping that in November I can beat the total that I read in October. And I read one, two, three, four, five. I read 10 books in October, 4 books and 6 on Kindle. So, what did I read? The first one I read was Before the Coffee Gets Cold, which is a time travelling story. It's a sweet little story. It's the story of a little coffee shop in Tokyo where you can sit and go back in time. There's some rules. You can only talk to the people that are in the coffee shop. You can't do anything in the past. You can't make any changes, and you can only stay in the past for as long as it takes to drink a cup of coffee. So there's 4 stories. 4 people make the journey into the past, and the stories are sort of almost interconnected, and they're very sweet. It's quite a nice, gentle little read. The second book I read was also on Kindle, so just bear with me while I fiddle around with this. You're going to get really fed up with me doing this because it's just... Right, A Boy and His Dog at the Edge of the World. It's a young adult dystopian novel, and it's the story of Grizz and his family who live on an island way up in Scotland, off the Scottish coast. And the world, as we know it, has ended. Everybody's gone. There's no people left. There's very few people left. For some reason, people stopped reproducing. So the whole world died out. Grizz and his family live on this island, and they live quite happily until a thief comes and takes Grizz's dog. And then this is the story of Grizz going off to find his dog. And the writing is interesting. It's quite good because Grizz, when he travels to the mainland, he's seeing things that he's only ever read about, heard about. So he's seeing a different perspective. He's seeing different things for the first time in his life. And we, as readers, are seeing these things as they are now, as they are in the story, as they're with nature taking them back, taking back the land, taking back the world. And it is a fascinating read. There is a twist. I'm not going to tell you about it because it's you've got to read it for yourself. Yeah, I don't do spoilers. So there is a twist, and it's quite a good one. Right, a book number 3 was an actual book, and what a book it was! 500 pages. Oops, sorry. I will get it right in a minute. The Mermaid and Mrs. Hancock. It's set in 1785 in Victorian Britain. It's a story of Jonah Hancock, who's a merchant and sends his ships off to do trading. And one of his captains decides that he's going to swap the ship for a mermaid. As you do. I think he's been reading a few too many fairy tales, and he took the idea of Jack selling his cow. But anyway, he takes this mermaid back to Mr. Hancock, who's a bit shocked. And in the end, this mermaid makes his fortune. Intertwined with this, you've got the story of Angelica Neal, who's a Victorian prostitute, quite a high-class prostitute. We get some very graphic descriptions of that seedier side of life in Victorian Britain. The writing, you've got the characters I felt were very Dickensian. Some of them anyway. The brothel madam, or the abbess, she is brilliantly written. Taking sort of tips from Charles Dickens. There are a couple of bits in there that are really sad, and I think, this is just awful. But yeah, it's a nice read, right? And mermaid, throw in mermaids as well. A bit of historical fiction plus mermaids. Number 4. Sorry, I keep referring to me, notes. Number 4, back on Kindle. Sorry, you are going to get fed up with this. Just bear with me. And it is, whoops, that's wrong. What am I doing? Here we are. The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter. It's a cracking read. It takes the sort of the Gothic stories that we know, Frankenstein, Dracula, but you see it from a different perspective because it's the story of the daughters, the women. You've got Dr. Jekyll's daughter, Mr. Hyde's daughter. You've got the female monster that was created by Victor Frankenstein. You've got the different sort of elements, and all these women come together to solve a gruesome crime with the help of Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. It's a cracking read. It's a book that is very Marmitey. Some people loved it, some people hated it. I can see the problems with it because there are a lot of American anachronisms in there, considering that it's Victorian Britain. And some people didn't like the writing style, which I thought was so refreshing, because you've got the narrator telling the story, and every now and again the characters say, "Hey, I didn't say that. Why have you described me like that? I'm not like that." And I thought that was a lovely way of letting you see the characters. Right, where am I up to now? Real book. After Dark. I keep doing this. After Dark by Haruki Murakami. Haruki Murakami. Loved it. It is set in, it's after dark from the hours between midnight and 6 o'clock, all in one day. It's the story of Mari, who is sitting in an all-night cafe because she doesn't want to go home. Mari's sister, Eri, is in a deep sleep and has been for 2 months, so we don't really know why. The narrator is a sort of an all-seeing eye who keeps zooming in on the characters. And all the characters that Mari meets during these 6 hours, their stories all interweave. The writing is beautiful. I love his writing, absolutely. Book number 6, back to Kindle. Bear with me. And this isn't working. Why isn't it not working? I'll just talk about it while I'm trying to find it. It's The Curious Charms of Arthur Pepper. Now, I picked this book up, and a lot of these Kindle books I picked up for 99p on the Amazon deals. There it is. I picked up because it sounded like a Rachel Joyce thing, and I loved The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry. Arthur is a widower, and on the anniversary of his wife's death, he decides to get rid of all her stuff. And in doing so, he finds a charm bracelet that he's never seen before. And on one of the little charms, he finds a phone number. So he rings it, and it ends up talking to somebody in India, never having known that his wife went to India. And so he sets off on this quest to find out the meaning of all the charms and discover the life that his wife had before she met him. And it sort of throws up questions like, if she was having this life, why did she end up with me? Was I good enough for her? All that sort of stuff. I didn't like Arthur as a character. Sorry, that was me. But it's a good, it's a nice story. It's a nice cosy read, but I just didn't like Arthur. Sorry, Arthur, but you weren't my cup of tea. Back to a book again. A charity shop by John Green's Paper Towns. I picked this up in the charity shop because I'd read The Fault in Our Stars, which I loved, and I thought it was a book that translated from young adult to adult very well. I've never seen the film, so you'll have to tell me whether I need to see the film, because sometimes I don't often see films of books I've read because I always get disappointed. So I've never seen the film, but if you think I ought to, just let me know down below. It's a story of Quentin Jacobson and Margot Roth-Spiegelman, 2 teenagers who are just about to graduate. And Margot goes missing. And it's the story of Quentin's quest to find her. So it's a bit of quests in these, isn't it? Arthur Pepper had a quest and Quentin has a quest. It's the theme. So it's this, and this quest to find her. And he finds a clue in a Walt Whitman poem, and there's lots of sort of searching and in chapters when he's just going through this poem thinking, now what does that line mean? What does that mean? What does this mean about her? I didn't think it was a book that suited adults very well. It's a sort of teenage coming of age book, and maybe I'm the wrong age to read this because it's a long time since I was a teenager. For teenagers, excellent, I'd recommend it, but for an adult, it just didn't do it for me. I've got 3 books left. Right, the Jasper Fforde and A Constant Rabbit, which I'm struggling to find on here. It is, I love Jasper Fforde's writing, I love his Thursday Next series. And this one is a standalone. It's set in around this time, village of Much Henlock. And it's a nice little village, a Middle England village, and always desperate to win the Spig and Span Awards. And suddenly this family of rabbits arrive, not little cute rabbits, but rabbits that have been anthropomorphized. So they are human. They walk, talk, eat, drink, watch TV, play snooker, you know. And it's the villagers' reaction. So what are rabbits doing in our village? How will we ever win this award with rabbits in the village? We've got to persuade them to go. We've got to drive them out. And along with this, you've got the Anti-Rabbit League that are trying to get all the rabbits into one area, sort of clear them off. And it makes for a bit of uncomfortable reading because you think, hang on, is this happening now? But Jasper Fforde's writing is brilliant. The last 2 books are both by Ellie Griffiths. The Lantern Men, which is her Ruth Galloway series, which I love because it's set in Norfolk, and I love sort of seeing the descriptions of places that I know and love. She's called upon to excavate a site, hopefully to find 2 bodies that two bodies of 2 women that the murderer, who's now in jail, always said he never killed. And the second one was Stranger Diaries, and that's a sort of like a gothic novel, and it was you've got Claire, who's a teacher, and her best friend Ella is killed, and there's a line next to Ella's body from the gothic horror book that Claire teaches. Add to this, the school was once the home of the author of this gothic novel, and it's supposedly haunted by his wife. And you've got murder, you've got mystery, and it's a nice, cosy, if you can call gothic horror. It's a nice sort of read. I finished it in one day. Sort of start to finish one day. It's a nice, cosy read. I never did find it on here because my phone's playing up, sorry. My top 2 reads, I've got 2 top reads for October. I couldn't choose between them. And it's the After Dark because the writing is just so exquisitely beautiful. And the Jasper Fforde Constant Rabbit because I love his whimsy and he really made me think, which sometimes in a book you need to do. So those are the books that I read in October. I'm hoping, as we're in lockdown, to beat my total of 10, so we'll have to see how it goes. If you like the video, click like, subscribe, and whatever, you know what to do. And I will see you next time. Happy reading, and